So I'm going to try to improve the connection from my house all the way to my garage. Now I have a wireless bridge in place, and that allows me to connect to cameras and other devices in my garage, but lately the connection's been getting a little bit flaky. Now I haven't changed hardware. This is the same hardware for years, AC Pro in there, and a Wi-Fi 6 Enterprise up here, but the connection has been degrading, and I think that has a lot to do with people getting 5 gigahertz in my neighborhood, and of course 2.4 gigahertz. So I'm going to see if I can improve that connection, otherwise I'm going to be digging a trench from here all the way out to there. That includes manual labor. So I have a couple of devices I'm going to test out today. First is the UDB from UniFi, or the UniFi Device Bridge. So what this does is it connects to my wireless access point and gives me network connectivity over this port. So in the real world, what does that mean? Well, I can give any device that has a network jack wireless connectivity super easy, just by plugging this in and plugging the device into here. Great for cameras, even great for little switches, which I'm going to test out a little bit later. And so I'm hoping that this will improve the connection to my garage. And then if that doesn't work, I have another device that I can try, and this is the UDB Pro, or the UniFi Device Bridge Pro. Now, this is kind of like the UDB, but more powerful and more directional. The cool thing about the UDB Pro is if you have 2 of them, you can create a network over a really long range, but you can also do it with 1 too. So I can try and set this up in my garage and point this back at my house and create a bridge that way. So you don't need 2, you could do this with 1, as long as you could point it at your network that you want to connect to and you get a decent signal, you can create a bridge that way. And if that doesn't work, I do have a backup plan, which is to install an access point outside so that the bridge devices don't have to connect to that access point that's inside. And I'm going to do that by installing this U7 Outdoor. Now, I don't want to install this unless I need to, but I have this in my back pocket if I do. Too much talking, not enough doing. So up there through the window, then through a door is the access point. Here's the garage it needs to go into. So this is all stucco, basically cement on a wall, so this is not great for wireless. So this is my tech wall. I know it looks kind of scary and cobwebs and stuff, but I'm gonna clean this up. But this is my AC Pro that I mounted here, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And this is the bridge that connects to the house. Wemo for garage door, a PoE switch so that I can power a couple of cameras, and then a stereo lamp and UPS. So I think I will clean this up and maybe run some new wires. That doesn't look too great right there, but this is all working, and I really want to check to see if my connection is going to be any good. So let's try that first. So just powered this on. What I'm going to do is connect this into one of the ports on my switch just to verify we have connectivity. What I also want to do is disconnect this AC Pro. And if all goes well, I should just be able to connect to my network at home. So this is going to disconnect my garage. And shortly, hopefully, this will start lighting up with the connection. So I adopted the device, it's created a bridge, and I can see here that it's connected at -79 dBm. So a poor connection, and the transfer rate is 135 megabits per second, and the receive rate was 26 megabits per second, or 81 megabits per second. So it's kind of bouncing around. The connection is not the greatest. So let's put the omnidirectional antenna on here and see how that does. Hopefully this gives us a better connection. So this is a good sign. I see the garage getting ready. So let's go back and check this device bridge, and -80. So I don't know if that really improved anything or it's just that bad. So looking at my cameras, it looks pretty good. I can see myself. You can see in real time. It's working pretty good. So cameras are working with that connection, but the signal is -76 dBm and the connected rate is 120 megabits up and down. So okay, but if I'm gonna go through this trouble, I kind of want a better connection. So let's try with this UDB Pro. So let's actually power this over PoE, which is super nice. So the power light is flashing. I think this goes solid once it is fully booted up. Power light isn't flashing anymore, so I think it's booted up, and I can see this one kind of flashing, searching for a signal. Just, hey, there we go. Whoa. Okay, we're up to 5 bars right here. Let me see if I kind of just move this around. Oh, you can see this is really directional. As I move it down here, I'm getting less and less and less. But as I point it right here at my house, I do have a pretty good connection. So now I have to try to balance this so we could do some testing. Yeah, I really didn't plan on this working out this well, so please don't fall. It's pretty dangerous up there. Well, that's cool. I can see our PoE power availability. It looks like, I don't know, I have 40 watts to work with. Okay, so here is the device bridge. Oh my gosh. Oh, that sucked. Oh my gosh, yanked it right out. Oh, that was so dumb. Sorry, cable. That was so dumb. Exactly why I shouldn't have done that. But I'm probably gonna do it again because I need to test it. I'm hoping the switch is okay. That was so dumb. Okay, everything's fine. I put it back up there and I gave it a little tape just in case. So looking at the UDB Pro, it looks like it's doing a little bit better. I'm connected to the upstairs AP, which is exactly what we want. And if we look at this little chart down here, the meshing signal, it's good, but it's on the edge of good, leading into poor. One way to solve it is just to put this on the outside, but I don't really want to drill any holes, and then I don't really have a soffit on this garage, so I'd have to mount a pole and then that, and that's kind of an eyesore. The other option that I talked about a little bit earlier was to mount an access point on my house and pointing it here at the garage. Now that's kind of the brute force attempt to get enough signal through this stucco, but at least it doesn't have to traverse 2 walls of stucco. And that would also give me some coverage here in the yard. Not sure if this is the greatest place, but I think I might mount it here if I do mount it. I know that there's a lot of electricity going through here, but I don't have a lot of options on this stucco wall. And plus, I can get the cabling through here too, because the fiber line from my house comes in just around the corner. So this might be an option. But I feel like before drilling holes and mounting stuff, maybe I should just bring the access point out here and give it a shot. So the challenge now is I haven't drilled any holes yet to run a PoE cable out there because this is powered by PoE Plus. But I did have this in my cable bin that I've been saving for years, and I can run a cable from an Ethernet jack all the way over there through the living room to the dining room and prop this up in here. And so I can kind of simulate, you know, if it were attached over there. But what I'm gonna do is put it in this window, point it at the garage, and then we'll test that way. That way I know if it works before drilling all the holes. Let's run this wire over here. And so I can prop it up in here. Let's go and plug it in. So I'm gonna go UniFi Outdoors. I may as well get the latest and go with Wi-Fi 7. I see power. Okay, let me angle it in here and then let's adopt this device. So this is directional without the antennas. I think that's the best way to do it. Okay, found my glasses. Now I should be able to adopt this device, and you can see it here. It's adopting. Cool, it is connected at 2.5 gigabit. The access point is up, it's online. Let's go test in the garage. This device bridge is now connected to that outdoor access point, and one good sign is we see 4 bars. So before we had 1, now we have 4, and we have negative 51 dBm, so a really good signal. That's pretty awesome compared to what it was before. So it means that access point is really helping out, and then this device bridge can stay in here. If I didn't have a wireless bridge in my garage already, I would have just plugged in this UDB and called it a day. This UDB connects easily, and it takes one piece of equipment to create a network bridge, and then you can plug any device into it. But because I already have a bridge and I know what it was like before, I kind of want to push this to the limits and kind of make this upgrade worthwhile. So I decided to see how far away I can get from my house and still connect to that outdoor access point. It is pretty insane on how far I can go. I'm still connected and I'm like over a block away. What's that? Techno Tim. Yeah, I'm not on Twitch right now. I'm doing this for my YouTube, but yeah. But that's me.
I'll follow you.
All right, well, thank you. Are you on Twitch or YouTube?
I'm not a streamer.
Oh, okay.
I'm a fan of it.
All right, well, I do stream too. I can't believe how far away I am from my house and it's still connecting. I'm kind of holding the phone up. 16 megabits, 12 megabits, still connecting a little bit. 0, so we just hit 0. So if my garage weren't in the way, I would have a lot better connection. But man, that is pretty incredible. So now I need to run the cable back to the access point, and I'm doing that with some Cat6. Now, all of the networking cables in my house come to this patch panel, and then from here, they go into my server rack. So what I'm gonna do is follow this, reverse this all the way back, and get it outside, and then get that access point connected to this after I terminate it. So it's gonna be a lot of work. What I'm trying to do is actually come out the same spot where my fiber comes, and I don't want to drill another hole. I mean, I will if I have to. Somewhere. Oh, here we go, right on the tops. It's in there. I don't know if I'm gonna have to get kind of creative, and I need more than one hand, so let me work on this for a minute. I might be able to push from the other side now with something blunt, but yeah, this is getting pretty risky because I haven't totally bent it, but that's not good on the fiber. So I started to think about what I could use to kind of push that in, and I wanted something blunt, and I found a pair of chopsticks. Now I'm part Japanese, so we have a lot of chopsticks in the house, but I found this, single-use pair because I don't want to use a good pair. So what I'm going to try to do is just tap that down in and just push that caulk all the way through. I know I'm getting close because I'm actually moving it. And maybe I can peel it out. It's been a long day. It's been a long day so far, but I have the wiring now pulled up over here. And I left enough slack so that I can mount it, I don't know, somewhere up there. But I left some slack in case I want to mount it a little bit higher. But I think I'm going to leave that for tomorrow. I have plenty to do inside, so I think I'm going to terminate inside, get that patched into my switch, and then maybe start on the garage. We'll see. Going to start tearing this down. If you've ever mounted a UniFi access point, you know the pain of losing that little tool to unlock this. Or you just do that. So it's day 2 and I'm getting ready to mount this access point up here. I ran the Cat6 last night and all I need to do is terminate it and then get this access point up here, and then we should be good to go. It is a little bit chillier out here today. It's fall in Minnesota. Looks like it's gonna rain, but hopefully it holds out. Okay, I'm gonna strip this cable. This isn't shielded. Okay, so I had to get my snips. I actually love these snips. These snips came with the house. Person who owned the house before left them. They looked like they're from about the 80s, but they are fantastic at clipping like everything. As you can tell, I haven't done many wiring or I would have this memorized, so I did pull this out and that got me right through it. So I'm not a networking person. I say that a lot. White, orange, orange, white, green, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. All right. And once I have this, I usually just kind of snip some of this off. Probably wasting a lot of cable, but I snip some of this off. That's why I love those clippers. I have a nice straight edge. And then I have these pass-through clips, which are really nice. They work really well with this to where the cables actually pass through here, and when you crimp them down, it cuts them. Back in the day, I didn't have these, and so this is awesome because back in the day, I had to make sure that this was really straight so I can butt them in just enough. But now you don't need to worry as much. So make sure that this lines up to here. Gonna push this through. This is where it gets kind of scary. Oh, first try. I'm gonna push that as far back as it can go because I want it to crimp down on that wire. And let's just do one more check. Still YouTubing. Okay, so the other thing you need to make sure of is you obviously plug it through here the right way. And you need to make sure that this is pushed all the way back. Like give it a couple of extra pushes because you want to make sure it crimps. And let me get a good angle on this so you can kind of see what I was talking about cutting. So we have that pass through. So now when we crimp it down, just cut all those wires off. And we just crimp the cable. So pretty good. I didn't put a boot on this one. Always on the fence about boots. I do like them if they're in a server rack, but for this access point, it being kind of outdoors, I don't. Okay, I have this partially mounted. I had to get a ladder because even though I am really tall, standing on a chair only gets you so far. I've never fed one of these through, but it feels like it should grip right there. For some reason it can't. There we go. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I will tidy all of this up later. Actually, I am gonna do the zip tie up here now, kind of tidy this up, and I'll tidy everything up down below later on. There's one. There's two. Okay, it has been a long day and I finally got this into place. I took all of those cables and routed them in here and kind of organized stuff in here just a little bit. But in here I have the UPS, I have just a surge protector, this little tuner or amplifier that I had before, and then I have this PoE switch powering two cameras right here, so the PoE side, and then this is the non-PoE side, which connects to this UDB, and again, this UDB is connected to the access point outside that is mounted on the pole. So now no retries, no errors, and 5 bars, so almost to the max. So one more thing that I am bringing in here too, I'm gonna put this B-Link PC that I bought a while back, I'm gonna put in here, and I am going to test the network throughput. It's a little bit cold here in Minnesota, so don't mind the hat. But after putting everything inside of here last night and kind of tidying it up, I was cleaning up my server room too, and I found this. These two shelves I used to use with my first server rack to put my modem on, and I had them kind of stored away, and I found them. And the nice thing is, I have 2 of them, and they of course fit in here because they are standard server size, but they're short depth shelves. So this is gonna work out perfect. So I'm gonna put these in today and tidy it up a little bit more. Now I have spots for a couple of more cameras. I think I'm gonna put at least one more, and then I have one more PoE port in case I need something else, and then a couple of extra jacks just in case. So the access point is up, you can see it here. It's actually working really good. I created a great Wi-Fi bridge to my garage. I get great coverage in my yard and the neighbor's yard and about a block away. So I need to do a little bit of tuning so that I'm not causing interference for all of my neighbors here. And there's no reason I need to broadcast my SSID like 2 blocks away. But it's working out really good. I'm gonna test it to see if I am getting the speeds that I want. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to increase the channel width to really push this to the limits and see if I can get the fastest possible wireless bridge to my garage. So this is without any tuning. I just want to see if I can get some good range. See from here, still tested, semi-decent range. Throughput is still good, and it's actually going behind my body. Should probably turn around and test it, but I will once we get a little further across the street. I mean, still pretty good. Let's go back to throughput. Let me keep going. Still doing okay. Okay, still going. I'm so far away from my house right now, it's crazy. Now I'm kind of veering off the path because otherwise I'm going to have to go into people's yards. But I am still super far away. Now it won't quit. Yeah, so now I have buildings in between, and it did just totally drop out. But I know if I kind of move it off to the side, it will work. But that's pretty impressive. So the Wi-Fi stopped working as I started going down this alley because I couldn't go straight anymore because I was going to go into people's yards. And now there's a building in the way, so I really don't have Wi-Fi now. But I'm pretty sure that if I kept going straight or had line of sight, or not even line of sight, I would get connected and I would have a pretty good connection. So that thing is totally overkill for most people's uses. It's maybe not overkill for mine. I think I'm a little bit of a prosumer, but it definitely builds a great bridge and gives me coverage in my yard. So. Figured I'd capture this really quick. So this is just outside in my backyard. And I figured I'd test Wi-Fi 7 just to see what the speeds are. So I have a pretty good signal. You know, I'm about 20 feet away from it. But I was getting almost 1 gigabit. I will walk a little bit closer to see if that helps. I think it will, the closer we get. We'll see, keep going. Keep going. I'm not exactly level with it, but I am pretty close to it, so I'm right below it. But you can see 800. I was getting gigabit as soon as I started it. Let's see if I raise a little bit higher, if I get any better. No, we're kind of at the max, but that's pretty awesome. So that's 240 megahertz and or 240 gigahertz. So yeah, we're getting almost gigabit to my phone, so pretty sweet, and that's with Wi-Fi 7. So let's take a look at that U7 and see how it's doing. Looking pretty good. So I have some devices connected to it. Do I see the bridge here? I don't see it as a client. So let's find that bridge. It should be named Garage Device Bridge. Here it is. So I see this bridge and we have a pretty okay connection. It says we are negotiated at about 400 megabits per second. The signal strength is pretty good. So it's a lot better than it was before. We're going to do a speed test to that Beelink device and see what we get with the current settings. Now, this is no optimization at all. I didn't do any tweaking. And let's take a look at the U7 settings really quick. So you can just see I'm using on 2.4 20 gigahertz. That doesn't matter because I want to be using 5 gigahertz. And I only have it set to a 40 width. And that's just because the smaller width you have, the less interference you have or it may cause to other people. So I kept it pretty narrow, but we'll increase that to see if we can get some more bandwidth out of this. Then my transmit power is auto for both. So pretty typical settings. And one more thing to check, I want to make sure that I'm connected to that outdoor access point, and I am. So I am connected to that Beelink device, and what I want to do is start up an iPerf session, and I'll start my machine as the server, and then I'll start that machine as the client. Okay, so on this machine, I'm just going to do an iPerf 3 and start it with the flag of S for server. Now it's listening. Now on that mini PC, what I'm going to do is an iPerf 3 with a -C to say I'm a client. Here's the server IP address with no timeouts. It's going to go forever until I stop it. And here's a lot of threads. I'm actually going to not use any threads. I just use one thread for now. Okay, 100 megabits per second, roughly, 149, 130. I mean, that's more than enough, but I want a little bit more. And I want to make sure I didn't go through all of that trouble just for a little bit of speed increase. So I mentioned tuning. The first thing I'm going to do to that access point is I am going to increase the channel width. Let's go, we could go all the way to 240. Yeah, let's go all the way. So let's go all the way here. This is adjusting the radio settings of a parent or child meshed AP. Will adjust the settings on all meshed APs in the chain. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. So this is just saying, hey, if I change the channel on the parent, it's going to negotiate the best connection on each meshed child. And that's what I wanted to do. So I have DFS channels, and it looks like I have access to these DFS channels. Now, DFS channels are pretty interesting because it's bandwidth that you can use, but I think if there's radar, or I think it's radar, if radar or something else needs to use this frequency or this channel, it can tell you and you'll get bumped off. So It's great if you don't have radar in your area, but I don't think I do. But if you don't, it's fantastic because then you get all of these channels that most people aren't going to be using. Actually, we should look to see what channels are in play right now. Let's do that really quick first. Like, why tune this when I haven't even looked to see what's out there? So let's go into the wireless radios and let's go into environment. And you can see that 2.4 is pretty crowded. This list goes on and on and on of everyone around here. Let's go into 5 gigahertz and let's see how 5 gigahertz is doing. Here we go. So yeah, it looks like people are pretty crowded on kind of the normal channels. So it looks like 36 to 60-ish. Somewhere right here in a 100-ish, and then all the way down here at the 150. And so if I hop on this DFS channel, I think I can squeeze right into here where there isn't anyone. I could probably do it there too, but I think I should go right in here. So this is 100-ish. Maybe I go a little bit higher, but let's see what we have. But this confirms that, hey, this is kind of wide open spaces. I do wish I could run 6 gigahertz on this bridge, but neither of those devices are 6 gigahertz. But look at this, wide open spaces. So let's go back to this and let's go back into our settings. Let's change the channel width. We're just gonna go all out. Let's go to 240. Let's use this DFS right here. I can go 104, 108. I think 100's gonna be okay. Maybe we can tune it a little bit. The other thing is, I have my transmit power on auto, and it is that way for 5 gigahertz and 2.4. I kind of feel like maybe I should just turn it up full blast. Now, I know that a stronger signal doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get a better quality signal. It might mean that I'm going to get more interference and cause more interference. But it looked like it was kind of open, for the 100 DFS channel. So I'm going to turn it up and we'll see from there. I'm going to put it on high and we'll test it out. Okay, it is applying now. Cool, so we can see it's actually scanning 5 gigahertz for DFS to see if I'm allowed to use this channel. And it says client connectivity to this AP may be affected until this is complete. So cool, it's actually going out and checking before I take this channel. I just checked with the device bridge to see if it was still connected to the garage, and no, it actually connected back to my upstairs access point while the U7 is scanning and trying to see if I can use that DFS channel. So pretty cool, I've never done that before. Hey, and as we see, it just reconnected to the outdoor access point. Now the bridge has negotiated a faster speed. You can see right here, 780 and 585 or 650. So it has a wider pipe. But that pipe really doesn't matter. We actually got to test sending data through that pipe. So let's do that. Okay, my server is still listening. And this beadlink device, let's try it really quick. So same thing, same IP, and a timeout of never. Hey, so this is definitely better. About 315 megabits per second. It's pretty good. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. I know that's way faster than what I had before. But let's tweak our channel to see if we can get anything else out of this. I think I might bump the channel a little bit higher in the DFS range. Okay, let's go into here. Let's make some adjustments. Okay, let's look at the radios again, or in the environment. 4 or 5 gigahertz just to see. And it looks like, there's kind of a huge gap there. So let's try that instead. Let's try to get right in here. So I don't know, 112, 118, something like that. So let's go back. 112, I think that looks good. Let's give this a shot. But I think we've made some pretty good progress so far just by changing the channel width and adjusting the DFS channel. I mean, we just got an additional 250, 200 megabits per second. So let's try to hone in on that and see if we can get anything better and maybe back off the power too. Okay, my litmus test to know if it really updated is to look at the device bridge and see which one I'm connected to. So I'm connected to that. Okay, it looks like we are on, there we go, 112 right now. Let's check that device bridge to see if it's still connected, and it is. Yeah, we're still We're still on the kind of borderline of good, which is fine. Do we negotiate any faster? Roughly about the same. So let's run a speed test. That's really what matters. Here we go. We're roughly about the same. I mean, what we could try doing too is adding some more threads. So let's say I want to run 4 threads or 4 clients and then sum the total. There we go. That's a little bit better. 408, 422. So that's pretty good. One thing I'm wondering with 2, let's look. I'm wondering about the cores on this little guy. Hey, look at that. So I kind of had a hunch. If you look at this, the CPU cores are kind of maxed out. And so this is that tiny little B-Link with the N100 in it. And while it's a good CPU, you could see that, you know, the cores, some of the cores are getting maxed out, which means we might be leaving some network performance on the table. So let me go put another machine in there so we can test with something else. Instead of running the test on the B-Link right there, I brought out the MSA1 from Minis Forum, and I have it plugged in. I could reach this. I hope that's it. Hopefully we can squeeze a little bit more out of this network. Okay, so now I put another machine in there. I put the MSA1 in there, and so that has slightly more cores, so let's connect to that and give it a shot. Okay, so let's take a look. As you can see, this has a lot more cores than the other one. So we have 8 cores on here. So let's try to max this out, or let's try to see if we get better performance doing the same thing. So iPerf C, and we're doing it to the 192.168.0.30. That's the server here, that's me. And a timer of infinity, or no timer at all. And then cores of 4. Let's go with 4 first, then we could try 8. So roughly about the same, 432, 388, 402, 379. So kind of, you know, all over the place, you know, within 20, 30, 40 megabits. If I go 8, do I get any more? If I go 8, yeah, I mean 420, 450, 392, 412, 456. So it looks like I'm getting a little bit more. I mean, I could try more threads, double it, 16, but I think we're going to get diminishing returns. Hey, I saw a 531 in there. I was going to say maybe we're going to get diminishing returns at some point. But I kind of think we're there. 460, 420, so not too bad, almost 500 megabits over that bridge, whereas before I think I was less than 100 megabits, so I was like 45 megabits. So I have a pretty great connection to there, and I'm sure this will only get better with some tuning. Maybe in the next couple of weeks I'll tune this a little bit more and see if I can kind of break that 400, 500 megabits per second threshold that I'm getting right now. But super happy, super happy. Not only do I get a bigger or faster pipe and a more reliable pipe to my garage, but I also get Wi-Fi coverage in my yard too. I know it would be better if the device bridge was outside, but for as simple as the device bridge is, just plugging it in and connecting it, it's a pretty awesome little device. I made this a little bit more complicated by installing an access point, but that was only because my access point that was inside of the house wasn't doing its job to things in the garage anyways. So super happy with the speeds, but not just the speeds. The quality of the signal is a lot better, less retries, and that's great, especially for audio and video for my cameras. And the link's been pretty stable as it ran overnight, so pretty good.